When we think about business failure, we usually picture something really dramatic, right? A missed revenue target, a disastrous product launch, basically a loud crash. But in product marketing, the most dangerous kind of failure is actually silent. And we're going to get into exactly why that is.
See, there's no single moment of crisis you can point to. There's no obvious break. This kind of failure is much more of a subtle erosion, not some big explosion.
And here's the real kicker. The paradox that makes this whole thing so insidious. The team looks incredibly busy. They look productive. Decks are getting made. Messaging is constantly being refined. Sales is getting enabled. On the surface, everything seems to be working. And that's what makes this so incredibly dangerous.
It's a totally fair question. I mean, if a team is working hard and they're cranking out assets, how on earth could they possibly be failing? Well, the answer is actually baked into the very nature of their work and the illusion that work can create.
This brings us to a really key concept I call surface success. It's this gap that opens up between the appearance of being productive and the very real strategic decay that's happening just underneath. At its core, what does product marketing produce? It produces language. It produces words. And unlike code, which can literally break, or sales numbers, which are pretty black and white, words are, well, they're flexible. A new slide or a rephrased sentence, it always feels like progress. It can be polished forever. And this is exactly how this failure hides in plain sight. The outputs, they always look helpful. I mean, who's going to say no to a new deck? If there's some confusion, the language just gets tweaked. And the product marketing team gets rewarded for being responsive, for fixing the messaging, even when all they're really doing is putting a Band-Aid on a much deeper problem. So let's put a clear definition on surface success. It's that state where the team is busy, everyone thinks they're aligned, they're getting appreciated for their hard work, but all the while, the strategic meaning, the shared understanding of the product is just quietly dissolving underneath it all. Here is the absolute core symptom. Everybody in the meeting nods along with the new positioning statement. They all use the right words in their emails and their presentations. But if you were to pull 10 of those people aside and ask them what those words actually mean for their day-to-day work, I guarantee you'll get 10 different answers. This is such a critical distinction. Apparent alignment is easy. That's just getting everyone to use the same set of words. Semantic drift, though, that's the invisible disease. That's when the same exact words start to mean slightly different things to every single person and every single team. Now this drift, it's not an accident. It doesn't just happen. It's actually driven by some really predictable behaviors inside the organization. These are the hidden mechanisms of quiet failure. Let's take a look at how this actually happens. I see 3 of these modes pop up time and time again. I call them compensation, over-responsiveness, and narrative inflation. Let's break down each one. Okay, first up is compensation. This happens when a big strategic question, like who is our actual ideal customer, never really gets answered. So product marketing is asked to kind of wordsmith their way around it. They create this smooth, agreeable language that papers over the cracks, but the foundation underneath is still really weak because the decision was never made. The second one is over-responsiveness. You've seen this. Sales needs a specific slide for a deal they're working. The product team wants to highlight their brand new feature. Now, each one of those requests is totally reasonable on its own. But when you add them all up, you get this Frankenstein's monster of a narrative. You're trading long-term strategic consistency just to keep everyone happy in the short term.
And finally, there's narrative inflation. When the core message feels a little shaky or ambiguous, the instinct is just to add more stuff. More proof points, more features, more pillars. The story keeps getting longer and longer, but it's not getting any clearer. You end up with more volume, but a lot less meaning.
And here is the absolutely crucial insight. Compensating for strategic gaps. Being responsive to your stakeholders. Adding more detail to the narrative. None of these things look like failure. In fact, in most companies, this is exactly what it looks like to be a high-performing, collaborative team player.
So that really begs the question, right? If these are just natural, systemic responses to all this pressure in the organization, why does the product marketing team so often take the heat when things eventually go sideways?
Well, the answer has nothing to do with the team's performance. It has everything to do with where they sit in the flow of information. It all comes down to misplaced accountability.
Because product marketing owns the words, they accidentally become accountable for all of the problems that the words are trying to solve. So, a lost deal that was really about pricing, that gets blamed on a weak value proposition. A new feature that nobody wants, well, that's because of unclear launch messaging. The language is just the most visible symptom, not the cause, but man is it the easiest thing to blame.
And this organizational trade-off really explains everything. Think about it. Rewriting language, that feels low cost, and it's pretty comfortable for everyone involved. But revisiting a core strategic decision, whoa, that's high cost, it's politically risky, and it's deeply uncomfortable. So, what does the organization do? It naturally chooses the easy fix every single time, asking product marketing to just tweak the messaging one more time.
So, what's the big takeaway here? We have to completely reframe how we think about this kind of failure. It's not a liability, it's actually a huge asset, but only if you know how to read the signals.
The very first step is to stop seeing this as a product marketing team problem. It's not about hiring a better writer or finding a more strategic leader for the team. That's just treating the symptom, not the root cause.
The quiet failure of product marketing is actually one of the most valuable early warning signals your organization has. It's the canary in the coal mine for a much deeper, much more dangerous strategic misalignment.
So when you start to see these symptoms, the constant wordsmithing, the narrative inflation, the semantic drift, the system is screaming at you. It's signaling that a critical product decision or a go-to-market decision hasn't truly been made. It's showing you exactly where the pressure is building in the system.
So the real challenge for leaders is to stop trying to fix the messaging and start listening to what the struggle with the messaging is trying to tell you. In our next explainer, we're going to explore product marketing's hidden role, not as a messaging function at all, but as a powerful diagnostic one.